Terrifying discovery under the Euphrates River scares the whole world. Imagine diving deep into the murky depths of the Euphrates River, searching for ancient artifacts and uncovering the mysteries of the past. But what if instead of finding treasure, you stumbled upon something so terrifying that it sent shockwaves through the world? Get up and get ready for a journey into the unknown as we explore the shocking discovery that has shaken the world to its core. The Euphrates River is one of the most important rivers in the Middle East. It flows through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, providing water for millions of people and supporting a thriving agriculture industry. However, in recent years, the river has been drying up, causing concerns about its sustainability and the well-being of the people who rely on it. One of the primary reasons for the drying of the Euphrates River is climate change. As global temperatures rise, the Middle East is experiencing less rainfall, which has a significant impact on the river. The river's sources are primarily snowmelt and rainfall, so as the amount of water coming from these sources decreases, so does the flow of the river. Climate change is also leading to more frequent droughts, which exacerbate the problem further. Another reason for the drying of the Euphrates River is the significant increase in water usage by the growing population in the region. The countries that depend on the Euphrates River for their water needs are all experiencing a surge in population. This population increase means more water is needed for drinking, irrigation, and energy production, among other things. The demand for water is putting pressure on the river's already strained resources. Furthermore, dams constructed upstream by Turkey have been a significant contributor to the Euphrates drying up. Turkey has built several dams, including the Ataturk Dam and the Ilisu Dam, which hold back water and control its flow into the river. While these dams are important for Turkey's energy production and irrigation, they have caused the downstream countries to experience a reduction in water flow, leading to a decrease in agricultural productivity and drinking water availability. The construction of these dams has led to tensions between Turkey and the downstream countries, as they believe that Turkey is taking more than its fair share of the river's resources. Another factor that is contributing to the drying of the Euphrates River is the unsustainable use of groundwater. The countries in the region rely heavily on groundwater for their water needs, but they are withdrawing more water than is being replenished, leading to a depletion of the aquifers. This depletion of the aquifers is leading to a reduction in the flow of the river, as groundwater is a significant source of water for the river. The drying of the Euphrates River has significant consequences for the people living in the region. The river supports the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on it for agriculture, transportation, and energy production. Reduced water flow means farmers are unable to irrigate their crops, and energy production is hampered due to the lack of water to drive turbines. Additionally, the reduced water flow has led to saltwater intrusion in the delta, making the water unsuitable for drinking or irrigation. In conclusion, the drying of the Euphrates River is a complex problem caused by climate change, population growth, the construction of dams, and the unsustainable use of groundwater. The situation is worsened by political tensions between the countries that rely on the river, making it challenging to find solutions. It is a significant issue that requires cooperation between these countries to ensure the river's sustainability and the well-being of the millions of people who depend on it. Now let's talk about the religious aspects and the biblical aspect. The four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates must be set free as instructed in Revelation chapter 9, verses 14 through 16. The Bible says in verse 15 that the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, day, month, and year were released so that they might kill a third of mankind. In verse 16, 200 million men, or so I've heard, make up the horsemen's armies. Four of Israel's fiercest enemies might be linked to the four bound angels in chapter 9, verse 13, if they are in fact four demons. High-ranking demons described as rulers, powers, world forces of this darkness, and spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places, rule through pagan kings as stated in Daniel 10. Spirit beings who operate covertly through a nation's rulers are called princes in Daniel chapter 10, verse 20, and Michael, your prince, that's in 10:21. No matter whether John is interacting with demons or angels, they are all subject to God and will only do what God commands. Whenever he decides to give them free rein, demons and angels alike will unleash his wrath upon the world's unbelievers. God's grace is abundant until that day comes. It's horrifying what the four angels let loose on the Euphrates. 1/3 of the world's population was wiped out by 200 million mounted troops. John heard, rather than saw, the staggering number because who could possibly count to that many? This number should be taken literally because the rest of the numbers in Revelation are. A symbolic army of that size would be crossing the Euphrates into Israel's promised land in preparation for an all-out war. However, Daniel chapter 11 verse 44 seems to indicate that the Antichrist and his armies will be disturbed by rumors coming from the east and north, prompting them to strike out with a great wrath to destroy and annihilate many. Other passages claim that angels are abundant, such as Psalm chapter 68 verse 17, Revelation chapter 5 verse 11, and 2 Kings chapter 2 verses 11 and 12, and chapter 6 verse 17. But the beings John describes in verses 17 through 19 have demonic rather than human characteristics. The beings John describes are violent and hostile toward humans. To achieve their goals, they will likely enlist and work through evil humans who have sold their souls to serve the Antichrist, but they will also spread disease and pestilence as part of the 3 plagues John says will come from their mouths. When we hear or read about fallen angels or demons being in prison until the precise minute, day, month, and year that God has ordained for their release, we are reminded of the absolute power of our God. When God says something will happen, it will happen exactly when He says it will happen. We are also reminded that God's divine plan involves some fascinating otherworldly things. Right now, God has bound 4 evil angels near the Euphrates River in the Middle East, but they, like the evil angels currently in prison in the abyss, will be released to wreak havoc on the ungodly in the future. Chapter 9, verses 1 through 11. Further, hundreds of millions of those evil angels are poised and ready to be deployed by God against those who reject Christ's sacrifice on the cross as sufficient payment for their sins. God has given us insight into the scriptures that enables us to understand many things that are invisible to the naked eye. One of the many fascinating aspects of the book of Revelation is the glimpse it provides into what lies in store for humanity. God's warnings to unbelievers in the present time are ugly and terrifying, but they hold them all accountable for turning from their sins and putting their faith in Jesus Christ. In Islamic Eschatology, there are prophecies related to the drying up of the Euphrates River which are considered to be signs of the end of times. These prophecies are found in various Islamic texts, including the Hadith, which are the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad. One of the most well-known prophecies related to the Euphrates River is found in the Hadith, which states, "The hour will not be established until the Euphrates uncovers a mountain of gold, for which people will fight. 99 out of 100 will die in the fighting, and every man among them will say, 'Perhaps I may be the only one to remain alive.'" According to this prophecy, the Euphrates River will dry up, revealing a mountain of gold. This event will trigger a major war between the East and West, which will result in the death of the majority of the combatants. The Hadith describes the event as a major sign of the Day of Judgment. Islamic scholars have interpreted this prophecy in various ways. Some believe that the drying up of the Euphrates is a literal event, while others believe that it is symbolic. They also have different interpretations of the significance of the mountain of gold and the ensuing war. One interpretation of the prophecy is that the drying up of the Euphrates River represents a loss of blessings and resources in the world. This loss will lead to people's desire for wealth and material possessions, symbolized by the mountain of gold. The ensuing war is seen as a result of people's greed and their desire to acquire the mountain of gold at any cost. Another interpretation of the prophecy is that the mountain of gold represents the wealth of the Arab world, and the war is a result of Western powers trying to acquire that wealth. This interpretation is based on the historical context of the Hadith, which is narrated during the time of conflict between the Arab world and the Byzantine Empire. Despite the differences in interpretation, the prophecy of the drying up of the Euphrates River has been a topic of discussion and debate among Islamic scholars for centuries. It is viewed as a reminder of the transience of life on earth and the inevitability of the Day of Judgment. The Islamic prophecies related to the drying up of the Euphrates River are significant in Islamic eschatology. They serve as a reminder of the importance of preparing for the Day of Judgment and the transience of life on earth. While there are various interpretations of these prophecies, they remain an important part of Islamic tradition and are still discussed and debated by scholars today. We hope you liked the video. If you want to watch more, then check out our channel and subscribe for more videos like this.